The TimeStep nodes can be found under SASSE Library, Node Groups Utility, and they are split between geometry nodes. So TimeStep attributes GN for geometry nodes, TimeStep GN, TimeStep menu GN, and TimeStep SN for shader nodes. So we'll pop into geometry nodes, and now we will grab the TimeStep GN. So this is the most basic one, just outputs on 1s, 2s, 3s, or 4s. So let's say we want to send Suzanne on a little journey. Let's go back to frame 0. Now we can see she's moving off on this journey on down the road. Every frame she moves. We put it on 2s. Maybe it's a little tougher to see, but if we go manually through the frame, 1 frame, 2 frames, and then she moves. 1 frame she doesn't move, next frame she does. So same if we do 3s, this might be a little more apparent. Yeah, you can see that she's just stepping through, or we go to 4s, and then every 4th frame. So let's look at that compared to 1s. Smooth, 2s, a little stuttered, 3, a little more stuttered, and 4s, a little more. So that is the simplest node, TimeStep GN. It just gives you 4 separate outputs. You also have the option of going with TimeStep menu GN, which will allow you to switch between 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, which maybe it's more apparent if we go between 4s and 1s, or 1s and 4s. So that will let you switch the frame rate dynamically, essentially, from within geometry nodes, independent of your project frame rate. And yeah, that gives you the option to select dynamically. You can also, that can be an input that you can address from the geometry nodes modifier. You also have TimeStep attributes. And so what this is going to do, we need to supply geometry here. It will name 4 attributes. And what are those attributes called? 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, just like you see here. So you could supply this 3s, and then you would still be able to access, actually, let's not do that for now. Let's just do this. An attribute in the shader editor called 3s. Then this should make it easier to see. So there's 3s. We can change this to 1s. Going very fast. 4s will be nice and choppy. So in addition to creating these and having these accessible from within geometry nodes, this also creates 4 attributes that you can use outside of the geometry node tree. If that is too bulky, if you are not using geometry nodes, you can also just use, let's go to the shader editor, SASSE Library, Node Groups, Utility, TimeStep SN. So you can bring this straight into shader nodes without having to use geometry nodes at all. So yeah, maybe you just need this in a material. You want this on an effect. And yeah, apologies for sending that super fast one there. But this is basically the same node, but it just lives within shader nodes. So you can either create something that just lives in shader nodes. If you just need one output, you can create one that gives you a menu that'll select a bunch of different ones, and then you could feed that into an output or into an attribute. Or you have the one that will just create everything as an attribute, so you can use that across whatever materials you might happen to need.